Now let's look at this question. So which of the following energy pyramids correctly shows a balance in the food chain below? Alright, so what is an energy pyramid? It's basically, you need to realize that the sun, okay, let's just draw sun, and then the next are plants, or I should actually draw green plants. Okay, so these are green plants because they are green. And then I have an animal with a big mouth, okay, and a tail. All right, the energy pyramid is basically the concept that the sun produces the most energy, and then the trees and the green plants will absorb. So this will give the most energy, this will absorb, no, sorry, this will give all the energy that is needed. This will absorb the most energy, and this will be lesser than plants. Alright, so this is actually a plant eater. And then let's draw an animal eater with a big mouth, alright, sharp teeth, eyes, tail, and forelegs. Now, this will be the least energy. So they will absorb the least energy from the sun. And how does that work is that, okay, so as usual, the sun will give us all the energy that we use in our life. You know, in all the animals and plants in the world will use the energy from the sun. And let's say the sun comes up with 100% of the energy. Now, a lot of this energy will fall on the ocean, or fall on the roads, or places where there are no leaves. Okay, so only, let's say, 20% of the energy from the sun falls on green trees or plants, and it's converted into food. Okay, so 20% of this is converted into food. Now, there's a lot of energy, or a lot of green plants in the world. Not all of them will be eaten by plant eaters, right? So let's say 5% of the plants are eaten by plant eaters. All right, so that's 5% of the energy. That's 5% of the energy of the sun. And then finally, there will be, like, there's not all plant eaters will be eaten by animal eaters, like this one. Okay, so let's say this is an animal eater. So this is a lion. This is a very interesting looking lion. So lions will not eat all the deers. A lot of deers will be alive, and lions will just eat a bit of the deer. So let's say they will only eat 1%. All right, and so therefore, out of 100%, 20% goes to the trees. Out of 100%, 5% goes to plant eaters, and out of 100%, 1% only goes to lions. Okay, so if you want to show the balance in the food chain, so remember, this is the producer, all right, or you can call this the grass, the deer, and the lion. And there's something else eating the lion, okay? But it doesn't matter, so there must be a sun over here. All right, so therefore, A, or the grass, must have the most energy, or is taking up the most energy, followed by deer, followed by lion, followed by something else. So let's say humans. Humans eat lions. All right, so humans will have the least. So we need to look at A is the most. So let's say this is A is the most, B lesser, C, and D uses the least of the energy, and therefore it is the smallest part. So the answer is number 2. Alright, so let's look at this question. Read the information below carefully. Grasshopper feeds on grass, frog feeds on grasshopper, snake feeds on frog. Let's draw it out. So again, the first one, the producer is grass, is eaten by the grasshopper. Okay, so always remember it points towards the eater, and the eaten is at the back. Frog feeds on grasshopper, and snake feeds on frog. Okay, so you have to get this correct. The arrows, the directions, you have to get it correct. If you're not able to understand this line, please stop the video and ask me for help. So let's look at the statements. Which one of the following is definitely true about the energy transfer stated in the above box? The grass gets its food from the sun. Is it true? Alright, it's not true because the grass doesn't get its food. The grass traps light to make food. Alright, so it doesn't get its food from the sun. So I can say the grasshopper gets food from the grass, but not the grass gets food from the sun. Alright, the sun does not give it food. The sun, the grass uses chlorophyll to turn light into food. So let's look at the second line. The grasshopper gets its energy from the frog. So the grasshopper gets its energy from the frog. So that again is not correct because the frog is the eater of the grasshopper. Alright, so the frog is the eater and the grasshopper is the eaten. So the frog should get the energy from the grasshopper. So this one is not correct. The frog is a source of energy for the snake. So the frog is a source of energy for the snake. This is correct because again this is the eater and this is the eaten. Alright, so the snake eats the frog and gets energy from the frog. So the snake feeds on the frog and the grasshopper. Based on this food chain, that is incorrect because based on this food chain, the snake only feeds on the frog. So the answer is number 3. Okay, so study the food web below. This is quite a complicated food web. So let's look at the first question. Explain how does the removal of organism B affect the population of organism E? Alright, so it's a 2-mark question. Let's be careful. So let's circle out organism B and organism E. And let's trace out how B affects E. So B, C. And you have C to G, and so just trace it out first and see what you get. And the next thing what I always do is I'll write down grass, deer, and lion. Okay, so if I know if B is going to be removed, so B will go down. If I know that, so B and C, so B is at the back of the arrow, C is at the front of the arrow. So if I know if my grass go down, my deer will also go down. So I know that this will decrease. If my B decreases, my C will also decrease. And if my C decreases, therefore my E will also decrease. And if my C decreases, my G will also decrease. So therefore, if I remove B, the population of C will decrease dramatically because C only eats B. Alright, if you look at C, this is the arrowhead pointing towards C, and there's only one arrowhead. So E, G, and D eats C, but C only eats B. So C only eats B, and therefore that's why the C's population will decrease dramatically. And because of this, it will lead to E's population decreasing because half the food source is gone. Alright, so E eats 2 population. Hey, wait a minute, that's wrong, that's wrong. So because E's population will decrease a lot because it's not half, is the food source is gone. So if you look at E, there's only one arrow pointing towards E, therefore it only feeds on C. G and A will eat E. but E only eats C. So if B goes to 0, C will also go to 0 because C only eats B, and because E only eats C, it will also go to 0. So therefore, its population will decrease a lot because the food source, which is also known as C, is gone. Right? There's no more C because C's population will decrease dramatically when you remove B. Okay, so let's look at the next question. Other than providing food indirectly, explain another benefit that organism B could provide for organism H. So if you look at B, you need to notice that there is only one arrow pointing out. So there's only one arrow pointing out. Therefore, this is a food producer. All right. And what other benefits do food producers have? They make oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. All right. So one other benefit is that producer B create oxygen, or you can even say things like they create shady places with the leaves. Okay, so that's one other benefit of trees or plants. So identify two organisms that are both a predator and a prey. So identify two organisms that are both a predator and a prey. So what this means, if you again look at my grass, deer and lion, right? So if you look at the deer, which is a predator and a prey, there must be an arrow pointing outwards and there must be an arrow pointing towards the organism. So if you look at this, C has an arrow pointing towards, and okay, so if you look at the E, so E has an arrow. Okay, it's not C because C is eating a producer, so therefore it's not a predator. If you look at E, right, E eats C, but it is eaten by A, right? So A is eating E. So E is both a predator and a prey, and the other one is actually D. So D eats C, but it is also eaten by A. So E and D are both a predator and a prey. So you must look at animals with arrows pointing in and out, and the inward arrow pointing at them is not coming from a producer. Otherwise, that's not a predator, because deer do not hunt grass, they just eat grass. They are plant eaters. Okay, so let's study this food web carefully. You have K, which is eaten by L, M, and N, and there's nothing that K eats, so this is usually a producer. All right, so these are usually plant eaters, but let's go and take a look at it. So the population of O decreases suddenly because of a disease. So the population of O decreases because of a disease. Let me just write this properly. So the population of O decreases. Which of the following statements correctly describes how this will affect the other populations at first? So again, let's just write the grass, deer, and the lion. So if the lion's population decreases, the deer's population will increase. And if the... Okay, so let's look at it. The population of L will increase. If O decreases, L will also decrease. Okay, so L eats O, lion eats deer. If deer decrease, lion will also decrease because there's less deer to eat. The population of M will increase. So the population of M will increase. Let's take a look because O eats M. So let's say if lion decrease, then the amount of deer will increase. So this will increase, and this is correct. This is wrong. The population of N will decrease. So likewise again, if let's say O eats N, right? And if lion decreases because of disease, this will increase. So this will increase. And therefore, this is wrong. And the answer is B. Okay, so let's look at this question. The diagram below shows a food chain in a habitat. Maize plant is the producer. Mouse eats the maize plant, snake eats the mouse. Something else will eat the snake. An organism X was introduced to the habitat. As a result, the population of mice decreased. So the mice decrease, so therefore this organism X will eat the mice. Name 2 physical characteristics of the environment that will affect the growth of the maize plant. So this is from living together. So the 2 physical characteristics are the amount of light and water available. Alright, so if you are not sure about the physical characteristics, please go back to my previous videos to check it out. Now, if all the snakes are killed, what will be the immediate effect on the maize plants? Explain your answer clearly. Now, take note, it's a 1-mark question. Let's go and take a look at the thing. If all the snakes are killed, so this one goes down to 0, what will be the immediate effect on the maize plants? So let's look at my grass, deer, and lion again. So if all my lion goes to 0, there will be a great increase in the amount of deer, and therefore a great decrease in the amount of grass. So likewise, if all the snakes are killed, there will be an increase in the mouse, but because there's an X, so that actually makes the mouse, that also eats the mouse, so there will be only an increase, but will not be a great increase unless there is no X. Then there will be a great increase in mouse. So if there's an increase in the mouse population, then the population of the maize plant will decrease. Alright, so if all the snakes are killed, what will be the immediate effect on the maize plant? So you say the population of the maize plants will decrease. Why? Because population of mice will increase because there is one less group of predators. Alright, so therefore there's one less group of predators, which is also known as the snake. The population of mice will increase, and therefore because of the mice increase, more of them will eat the maize plants, and then the population of the maize plants will decrease. Okay, so let's look at this question. What is likely to happen to the population of H if the population of P is wiped out by a disease? Okay, so every time I look at a food web or the food chain, I want to look for the producers first. Again, the producer, so I have my plant, my grass, my deer, and my lion. So I want to look for all for an organism where all the arrows are pointing out. Then I know that this is the producer. So this one pointing in, nope. This one has something pointing in, so nope. This one has something pointing in, nope. This one has one arrow pointing in, nope. This one has 2 arrows pointing in, nope. L has all 3 pointing out, so this is my producer. So at least I know this. Okay, so let's look at what happens when P is being wiped out. So if P goes to 0, then there will be a increase in G, because G is eaten by P, but it's also eaten by Q and is eaten by H. So if there's an increase in G, there will be an increase in H. So again, if P is wiped down to 0, there will be an increase in J. And if there's an increase in J, which is more food for H, and there will be an increase in H again. So let's look at this. What is likely to happen to the population of H if population P is wiped out by a disease? It will stay the same because H do not eat P. Nope, it will actually affect it because it will affect it through J and G. It will stay the same because Q will eat more food. Nope, that's not true. Q will eat more food. Nope, nothing to do with Q. It will increase because H will have more food to eat. Yes, alright. It will stay the same because H have more food to eat. It will decrease because there's more competition with Q for food. Nope. Alright, H has more food to eat because P is actually a competitor for both G and J. Alright, so if there's no more P, then there'll be more G and more J, which is more food for each. So that is, the answer is number 3. So let's look at the next question. It's a food web in a field community. So there's grass, which is eaten by grasshopper, which is eaten by bird, bird is eaten by snake, grass is eaten by rabbit, rabbit is eaten by snake. So this is my producer, alright. So which animals are both prey and predators? Again, you need to find a prey. So remember, predators are those that hunt and kill other animals, and prey are those that are hunted. So you need to find the organisms that have arrow pointing in and the arrow pointing out, but the first arrow is not a food producer. Okay, so therefore this is not and this is not, because they are eating food producers. That means they are plant eaters and they are not preys or predators. They are not predators, I mean. So you must find the next level, which is the bird. Alright, so bird eats grasshopper, that's a predator, but snake eats bird, therefore it is also a prey. So which animal are both predator and prey? Is only a bird. A rabbit is not a predator because it eats grass, and that's not counted because it doesn't hunt. So now what happened to the bird population when the entire rabbit population is killed by a disease? So a rabbit population goes down to 0. What's going to happen to the bird population? So if this goes down to 0, the grass will increase because there's one less organism that eats the grass. So if the grass increase, the grasshopper will also increase because now there's more food. And if there are more grasshoppers, then the bird population will increase because there's more food for the birds. So what will happen to the bird population if the entire rabbit population is killed by a disease? It's a 2-mark question, so let's answer this question. So bird population go to 0. What that will do, no, sorry, wrong. Rabbit population goes to 0. Alright, so that will give you an increase in the grass population, and because there's an increase in the grass population, there will be an increase in the grasshopper population, which will also lead to an increase, in the bird population, because there is more food for the grasshopper and birds. Okay, so that's how you need to answer this question.